What is up, guys? This is Linthio coming at you with a card discussion today about the first groundbreaking, history-making Synchro Pendulum monster. That is Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, High Paladin. This card straight away just looks absolutely awesome. I think the artwork's really cool on it. And it is basically a dark level 10 Pendulum Synchro monster with 2,300 attack and 2,500 defense. And its effect reads as follows. Pendulum effect. Pendulum monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle while attacking. Also, you take no battle damage from these attacks. At the end of the damage step, if a pendulum monster you control attacked, all monsters your opponent currently controls loses attack equal to the attacking monster's attack until the end of this turn, even if this card leaves the field. And then the monster effect. It requires one tuner and one or more non-synchro monsters. If synchro summoning this card, you can treat one pendulum summoned pendulum monster you control as a tuner for that summon. If this card is synchro summoned using a pendulum summon pendulum monster as a tuner, you can target one card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can halve your opponent's life points. If this card in your monster will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can place it in your pendulum zone. Let's break this down. Obviously, there's the pendulum effect, and then there is the monster effect. Pendulum effect states that pendulum monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle while attacking. Pretty decent. Also, you take no battle damage from those attacks. Also pretty decent. The end of damage step, if a pendulum monster you control attacked, all the monsters your opponent currently controls loses attack equal to the attack of the attacking monster. That's pretty decent as well, simply because, you know, you can just attack with a pretty decent pendulum. You can out all those big monsters. If, for example, the performer powers don't have the biggest attack, it's probably the most legitimate deck you're going to be using this in. It's quite nice because you can bump them down. Arguably, you can just say, I sacrifice this monster by attacking into you. End of damage step, it all loses attack. Then you can kind of get over. If towers was a thing, then, you know, that would be nice. So it's a pretty decent pendulum effect. And you're basically guaranteed to get this pendulum effect as long as the summon of the card doesn't get like negated, like Solemn Warning or something. But this is pretty decent. Then the monster effect is really interesting and got everyone a little bit up in arms. And its effect is you need one tuner and one or more non-synchro monsters. So you can use like a formula and a level 8, for example. If you synchro summon this card, you can treat one pendulum monster that has been summoned by a pendulum as the tuner. So for example, if I have a Stardust Charge Warrior out, for example, then I pendulum summon a pendulum sorcerer. That is now treated as a level 4. I can now synchro up into this because it is a level 10. It's a really interesting mechanic that, and I'm glad that they stated it has to be a pendulum summoned monster. Otherwise, if it was just any pendulum monster, regardless of how it was summoned, that would be pretty brutal. There's a certain amount of setup that is needed for this card. Is it worth it? Well, the interesting thing is the next few effects. If you do synchro summon this monster using a pendulum summoned pendulum monster, then you can simply add a card from your graveyard to your hand. Now, I was watching Lithium's duel video on this card, using it and abusing it, and basically he would just abuse the fact that Wavering Eyes was a thing, use Wavering Eyes, get all of his pluses, then summon this, and then get Wavering Eyes back, and then set it. So if you were in the mirror, you basically set for life because you have the Wavering Eyes. So if your opponent, unless your opponent is lucky enough to draw into another Wavering Eyes, you go scale, scale, they go you go Wavering Eyes, they go Wavering Eyes, then obviously that hurts. But you still have Paladin on the field. But that's just not just for a Wavering Eyes, that's for anything that you want to add to your hand. Maybe the occasional pendulum monster that might get negated, or use the next Z material so it goes to the graveyard, and then also just in general spells and trap cards. But one of the big effects for this is simply when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can halve your opponent's life points. That isn't even a once per turn effect. You can give it something that will make it attack twice or 3 times or whatever. It can still half the opponent's life point as long as it battles a monster. That's absolutely crazy! Like, the most you're probably going to be doing is 4,000 to them, which is just Solemn Judgment, unless you give them, you know, Upstart Goblins and then it goes 4-5, so on and so forth. It's just insane that we have this type of effect on a card that's already ridiculously good, even if it didn't have the whole half your opponent's life points, it will still be pretty decent. And on top of that, if this card does get destroyed by a battle or card effect on the field, you just put it in your pendulum zone. And it's an 8 scale. It's a pretty good size scale. So overall, this card for the first Synchro Pendulum card, it's pretty goddamn good. It's not broken, but it's pretty goddamn good because it remains to be seen how easy it is to summon it. Now, Lithium, it was obviously effortless for him to summon it, but you gotta think, how many times in a tournament are you actually going to be able to pull it off? Especially if you are going seconds, your opponent might have some answers to those Pendulum summons. So it's a very interesting one to consider. But overall, this card is extremely good. I honestly hope we have some more Pendulum Synchro monsters in the future, just because I really do like the idea. So I want to know what you guys think of Nirvana Dark Paladin. Do you think it is an incredible card, or do you just think it's a really good one, but it's not going to be used at all because it's a little difficult to summon? So as I said, let me know down in the comment section below. Make sure to give me a like, comment, subscribe, and I should catch you guys later.